The noon hour is here.
Check it out.
And you're locked on to Utah's highest rated, most listened to sports radio station.
It's my station. It's my station.
This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, folks, let's get it. Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It is a Thursday on the downward slide of a week. It's been a fun one, too. We've had a lot of great conversations. Kevin Young joined us yesterday, head coach at BYU. Also, Bronco Mendenhall joined us on Monday. If you missed any of those conversations, this is what I would like you to do right now, is go to your podcasting platform of choice. If it's iTunes, great. Spotify, that's awesome. Whatever the case might be, and you search Hans and Scotty, and you subscribe, or you get whatever you'd like, the individual interviews, the full shows, whatever the case might be. We would really appreciate it. And then leave us a rating and a what do you call it? Rating and a review. Thank you, Lloyd. Review. It's one of those days. And be positive. If you hate us, then don't leave us a rating and a review. Then, maybe keep that to yourself. But if you like the show, a little good positive feedback goes a long way in us keeping our jobs.
It does, man.
How you doing, by the way?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm great.
Good. What's new?
Not a lot, man. Not a lot. I had a fun time just sitting back watching some playoffs last night. Stayed up way too late watching the Lakers get bounced.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah, they're done. Did you watch any of that Florida-Tampa Bay game?
I did not get a chance to watch it live. I went back and kind of went through the old YouTube highlights this morning.
Florida dispatched to Tampa.
Yeah.
They won the Battle of Florida.
Some rumors floating out there about Tampa now and their coach.
What specifically?
That he and apparently Ryan Smith are BFFs.
Oh. Which might lead to what?
Read into it what you will. We're gonna.
He's still a coach, by the way. They have not parted ways.
Yeah, but apparently there's somebody needs to guide that ship through troubled waters there in Tampa.
There are mixed reviews on Coach Bear.
Yeah.
Bluntly and honestly, there's mixed reviews. Guys like us, we love him because tough-nosed.
Yep.
Words are harsh, direct, to the point. Some of the best update sound that we've played.
By a mile, yeah.
Yeah, better than Quinn Snyder, for sure.
Yeah.
And better than Will.
Frankly, as close to Jerry Sloan as anything we've had since Jerry.
Yeah, it's pretty direct. So I love his quotes, but we're so new to the game. It's like I don't know.
Well,
how much he's doing things right on the ice.
And I'm glad you bring that up too, because it's not like and Bill Armstrong was great coming on with us every week, but when we say, hey, Bill, how's Coach Tierney doing? He's not going to be like, well, you know what? He's got 10 games next year to fix this, and if not, he's out. You're not going to get, nor should you get a real succinct answer and evaluation from at least publicly, from the Utah Hockey Club. So then you and I are still learning the game to a point where we can evaluate coaching and say, okay, this performance was a coaching thing. We can watch basketball and football and say, okay, that's on the player or that's on the coach. We're still getting there in hockey, and we're more than happy to admit that we still have a ways to go in that regard. So then what do? We talk to people that are unbiased, that know the game far better than we do. And you're right. Some people love him, and some people say, yeah, there's some things he needs to work on.
Well, I went back. I was just looking at his wins and losses, and every year he's added wins. Going back to his first year in Arizona, which was 2021-22 season, and he went 25-50. Then 22-23, he went 28-40. Then 23-24, 36-41, and then this year with Utah Hockey Club, 38-31, with 13 overtime losses. So 38, 31, and 13. Back in 2022, he was 28, 40, and 14. And so, he's adding a couple wins a year. It looks like his teams are getting better. And I'm sure that everybody across the board, from Ryan Smith to Bill Armstrong to everybody else, wants to see this guy succeed. But I can understand why a coach that is just finishing up a postseason has had a lot of postseason success and a lot of success across the board, why his name would be rumored.
Yeah. Like if you're, if you're a football coach and you're going about things and you're winning games and getting a little bit better every year and you're hitting all the benchmarks that your general manager has laid out. Remember, Bill Armstrong did not say that this was a playoff team this year. Now, he has said that about next year, but he did not go into this. He said we should be about a 500 team, and they hit that mark. They bettered that mark. They were right there on the cusp of making the playoffs. They were a better team this year than they were last year. And I think Bill Armstrong, based on the path that he's laid out for this team, they're on that path to where he wants to get to. However, if you're a reasonably good college football coach and you're just out there doing your job and your team's getting a little bit better every single year, and then all of a sudden Nick Saban is available on the open market and you know that your athletic director and Nick Saban are golfing buddies and BFFs, you're like, uh-oh. Yeah. You can't help but not feel it a little bit.
Could get you.
Yeah. And it's nothing that you've done. It's nothing that you've made any mistakes on. It's just that, you know what? Like you always say, it's a football coach's job to try to recruit over the top of you or try to draft over the top of you. Well, that also applies to front office.
Yeah.
And head coaches. Now, look, am I saying this needs to happen? No, I'm saying that we're trying to learn if it should happen or if this is something that they should. But we're not at a point now, at least I'm not personally, where I can be like, yes, do this immediately. I don't know. And we're gonna talk to a lot of people and try to figure out.
But the name's floating around out there.
Yep.
And by the way, Tampa Bay, they stuck in this thing until about the midway or just past midway in the second last night, and then the third period went really poorly for them. But what I thought was interesting with Florida is you watch this Florida team, I've got them to repeat. Last year's champion. I think they've got the best guy in net in the postseason. Well, at least he seems to be the best guy in net in the postseason, in Bobrovsky. And this team just comes alive. And what's crazy is they ended up scoring 6 goals last night, and there wasn't a single repeater. Nobody scored 2. It was just 6 guys. The puck's all over the place. They're scoring off the back line. They're scoring off the wing. They're scoring from the center. And they're aggressive, feisty. They come out. Now, what I loved about Tampa Bay, though, Tampa Bay came into the Battle of Florida, and they were like, well, we're not going to let Florida push us around.
No.
And Tampa Bay, from the jump, from game one, they were throwing elbows and fighting into the glass, and every time somebody pushed them in the glass, they would return the favor, and they tried to match physicality with physicality. It's just Florida overall, when push comes to shove, you find out who the big boy is.
Yeah. Yep.
And Tampa Bay was pushing, and Florida was shoving, and Tampa was pushing, and Tampa was like, well, we're going to punch the bully right in the mouth, and the bully was just bigger and better and more of a bully, which I thought was interesting in this series. And I've got Florida rolling, man. I mean, this is going to be a tough team to unseed.
It's hard to imagine a lot of teams beating this team in a 7-game series.
In a 7-game series, yeah. In a one-off or maybe even a 3-game series, but pushing to the best of 7, it just shows, Florida's got the best team. And it's just fun to watch. I can't wait until the Utah Hockey Club is to this point.
Yeah.
Where they can push people all over the ice. But fun game last night until, like I said, middle to end of the second, and then things really started to unravel in the third. You could see Tampa Bay just wore out.
Yeah.
And they were facing the 3-1 deficit. I think teams that face the 3-1 deficit, whether it's NHL or NBA, I think that there's a point where they're just like, they just give up the ghost. They're like, I'm done. I can't do it. You mentioned the Lakers.
Yeah.
Lakers are like, nah, I'm done.
They're watching Rudy Gobert having a career night, and they're thinking to themselves, oh, geez, Rudy's doing this to us. And
yep,
we're, Anthony Davis is in Dallas. Actually, he's in Cancun right now. So, yeah, let's just go ahead and hang it up. I mean, the biggest one was what Cleveland did. I mean, that team was just done.
Yeah. What was it, like 126-50 or something?
Yeah.
Some stupid, ridiculous number. But Let's kick things off right there. I wanted to have a conversation with you about LeBron James.
Let's do it. Starting lineup right now, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is Hans and Scotty G.
Let's go.
The lineup is set, and it's time to kick off the show with the biggest topic of the day. This is the starting lineup on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Randall on the run, bumps into Reeves, bangs him out of the way, floats up the shot, no good. Slam follow, Rudy Gobert. What a game for Rue. He is having a monster night. Ferocious on the glass.
Enter into an offseason on a roster that has Luka Doncic, that secured the number 3 seed in the West in a really tough West this year. What type of thoughts does that give you about your end game? And how many more years will we see you play?
I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. Something I'll sit down with my family, my wife, and my support group and kind of just talk through it and see what happens. And then just have a conversation with myself on how long I want to continue to play. I don't know the answer to that right now, to be honest. So.
You think he knows? I don't think he does. Lloyd was in her ear going, of course he does.
I don't think he does.
I don't think he does.
I think he's playing it by ear. I think
Now-
he wants to see what his roster looks like.
Yeah.
With that said, he is 40.
Yeah.
There's so many miles on those legs.
There's a point where even if you're LeBron James and you're in the conversation, I don't want to have that debate because I'm getting so tired of the Michael Jordan versus LeBron James debate that people want to have all the time. But you're in the conversation for the greatest player of all time.
Yeah.
But there's a point where it's like, I'm tired. Boss, I'm tired. What was that, the Green Mile?
Yeah. Dog tire boss.
I'm tired.
Yeah.
Like, frankly, if anybody deserves the right. Now, look, LeBron is weird and does some really strange things and says things that make you just want to rip your hair out. I get it. But if there's a guy who deserves just to be able to be like, you know what? I'm going to eat 20 cheeseburgers and I'm just not going to hit the gym and I'm just going to enjoy the rest of my life. It's him. And he's played a lot. He's done a lot. He's accomplished a lot.
He has.
Like, why still do this to yourself when you know you don't have a roster that can win a title?
And some of the things he's resorting to try to win.
Yeah.
Like taking that bump and laying on the court. It was just a slight bump. We saw the little tap in the face when he went down. Everybody's now seen the meme where he's covering his face and he lifts up his hand and you can see his eye like looking at the ref like, are you looking at me on the ground?
I mean, he's making a mockery of himself.
It's childish. It's embarrassing. And I'll tell you why he's back. Why I think he'll come back. And you guys could absolutely play devil's advocate, or you could fire back at me and say that I'm out of my mind. But right now, in the last 14 postseason games he's played, he's 2-12 in the last 14. Remember, he got swept by Denver in the Western Conference Finals. They went 1-4 against Denver last year in the first round.
Correct.
And they just went
1-4.
1-4 against Minnesota in the first round.
Ooh.
So he is 2-12 in the last 14, which included a sweep. Now, it was the Western Conference Finals, but it was a sweep. In fact, let me just go back a little bit further. I'm going to go back to 2019 when he showed up with the Lakers. Remember, 2019, he shows up with the Lakers. They missed the playoffs. And then the 2020 bubble, they win the championship. 2021, the following year, eliminated in the first round. Out the first round. 22, missed the playoffs. 23, swept in the West Coast Conference Finals. And then what we just know. Out in the first round, out in the first round. And this is what's crazy. Now we're talking about postseason losses with Anthony Davis, a Hall of Famer, and now Luka Doncic, a Hall of Famer. So you can't look at LeBron and say, well, he's just trying to drag the whole roster by himself. He's had Hall of Famers around him.
Yeah.
And he did do it in 2020, but that whole bubble thing, I appreciate it. I'm grateful for it. It got us through some of the toughest times in sports radio history. Scotty and I will never forget the effort of the bubble. We'll never forget it. But it's an asterisk.
It is. It is.
There's no reason Jamal Murray does what he did to the Jazz in that crazy run. And so, you put it, but still, that's a championship. It's on the ring is on his finger. Outside of that, Scotty missed playoffs twice, eliminated into the first round 3 times, and swept in the Western Conference Finals. That's LeBron James going back to 2019 when he showed up with the Lakers, the Lake Show.
Yeah.
And everything that they've tried to put around him, we've seen what they've tried to dot and cross around him. And he just can't get over the hump. And I'm watching him now resort to embarrassing tactics of hard-acting flops and ridiculousness. He's still a great player. He still had whatever he was. What was he, 22 or 24 points last night? 9 of 21, 22 points, 7 rebounds, 1 of 5 from 3. He's still a deadly player, and he can still be a piece. But some of the things that he's resorting to are getting embarrassing. But I think he's going to be back because 2-12, first-round eliminations, now having Luka Doncic, maybe they put together a game plan. I wonder how he feels about J.J. Redick.
That's another question. And I think you talk about people behaving badly and childish.
Yeah.
J.J. Redick showed a lot of immaturity over the last 72 hours.
He did.
And I was really down on the J.J. Redick hire. And then he kind of won me over during the regular season.
For a minute.
And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, he's storming out of a press conference because people are all questioning his ability to substitute. And is he in fact, here's the question. Somebody asked him, are you leaning on your assistant coaches in hopes of trying to develop your rotation in these playoff games?
What do you recall about your thought process in the moment, sticking with the 5 you stuck with in the fourth quarter the other day? And is there an assistant or someone maybe that you'll lean on tonight, maybe to try to get some other guys involved if that opportunity presents itself?
Are you saying that because I'm inexperienced and that was an inexperienced decision that I made? Do you think I don't talk to my assistants about substitutions every single timeout?
No, I just think there's a lot of coaches lean on their assistants in those situations.
As do I,
There's a lot going
every
on.
single time. That's a weird assumption.
And he stands up and leaves.
Yeah.
You don't need to leave, man. Just be like, okay, next question. It is, the guy was essentially implying that he's inexperienced and made a dumb decision and he's not using people around him to advise him. I get it. And he has every right to be a little grumpy about that. He's like, I talk to my assistants. Come on, give me a little bit of respect here. But to be childish about it and then play a guy who hadn't played in 3 months last night in crunch time, it's just really shocking how the Lakers really just fell apart. And I want to say, was it Reggie Miller who said that he was talking to him pregame and said that he was acting all weird and childish as well? It's just, you know what? You got to have maturity. There's got to be an adult in the room, and J.J. Redick's got to learn that. LeBron talked about J.J. Redick after the game as well.
Whatever happens, I think J.J. is going to continue to grow. I thought he had a hell of a rookie campaign for a rookie coach. And it's a lot different being a rookie coach. It's already hard being a rookie coach in the NBA, and it's a hell of a lot harder being a rookie head coach coaching the Lakers. It's a whole nother ball game. And I thought he handled it extremely well. I thought he just learned every single day. He held us accountable. He pushed us. I thought JJ and his coaching staff were great throughout the whole season. And that was pretty cool. So that's one thing for sure that you guys know for sure that would be. And here is a great coach, up and coming coach that would be great for many, many years.
Said he's an up and coming coach. It'll be great for many, many years. Is that what he said?
Yeah.
It's interesting. When that question came from the gallery. At first, I was like, man, it's leading. Maybe he's trying to get under the skin. But people need to understand that his top two assistants are former head coaches in the NBA, and Scott Brooks and Nate McMillan.
Yeah.
And so,
good head coaches, too.
Yeah, it's an understandable question of now, I think if I would have asked it, I would have said, hey, Coach, how much do you rely on Nate McMillan and Scott Brooks to help you with your rotations? I probably would have been just a little bit more specific. The way this guy asked it, it was kind of like, you don't know what you're doing, do you, JJ?
Yeah.
And have you realized you don't know yet? And because you haven't realized yet, is that why you lost? That's kind of the way he led the question. But the guy's right in asking, are you leaning on Nate and Scott enough? Or if not, have you learned that you probably should lean more? I don't know. I just think he is an inexperienced coach. But the problem is it's not like he's coaching the Utah Jazz roster.
No, you got 2 first ballot Hall of Famers on that roster.
Exactly. So how do you coach that? You just say, what do you think? And LeBron's like, I don't know, but we got to figure something out. Try a different rotation. Throw somebody out here. I don't know.
The other comment, and I know I'm putting Lloyd on the spot on this one too, is the conversation afterwards with LeBron James when he was asked, about not having a center and not having Anthony Davis specifically. And I don't know if this was a shot at the front office, but here's LeBron James and his answer to that.
Basically from mid-January on, right when AD got injured, you guys started playing a lot of centerless basketball, and that required a lot from you and Doe and Rui and then Vando once he got back. Just from a physical, taxing standpoint, how tough was that for the last 3.5 months to play that style, and do you feel like that caught up at all in this series?
No comment. I'll never say that because my guy AD said what he needed, and then he was gone the following week. So I got no comment. I put that uniform on every night. I gave everything I had, and that's all that matters.
So, okay, a couple things here. That is a very subtle way of LeBron James saying, hey, I didn't trade Anthony Davis. I had no part in this.
He said what he said.
He said what he said, and then he was gone. He essentially put all the blame on the Laker front office, when in reality, they don't change printer toner in that building without LeBron James' approval.
Yeah. Well, to the question and to the point, when you're rolling out Dorian Finney-Smith and Rui Hachimura, and you're trying to push an elbow with potentially Rudy Gobert and a couple of others, it could be a bad situation. It could be a good situation, but it can be a bad situation, and it looked to be a bad situation for a few games against Minnesota. And it's like, well, what are we going to do? Put more weight on Jared Vanderbilt? How much can you really how much more is Jared Vanderbilt going to give you than Dorian Finney-Smith?
Yeah.
And so I can see that, they were kind of caught in a bit of a blender. They could rotate out Maxi Kleber and give them a little bit more of a perimeter look, but it's like, what are your options? And the crazy thing is, you hold the Lakers under 100 points, and we just don't give enough credit to Rudy Gobert.
Yeah. Yep.
Every time anybody was trying to make a move at the rim, Rudy Gobert's there. And then Rudy's back at the other end of the court finishing at the rim. In fact, you look at what happened last night. Anthony Edwards was 0 of 11 from 3. Anthony Edwards, who took a victory lap around the city and talked all kinds of trash. You saw him, the elimination trash.
Yeah.
Was 0 of 11. He hoisted up 11 threes in Game 5, and he hit exactly 0 of those.
What were they as a team? It was a record setting.
7 of 47.
7 of 47 from 3 as a team.
That's a comprised 14%.
Yeah.
And it's not 14% of 28 attempts.
And you don't even need that stats class to come up with that.
No, I don't. It's 14%. And I'm telling you, it's not 7 of 28. Or sorry, it's not 14% of 28. It's 14% of 47 attempts. At some point, you would think Minnesota's going to lose this game, but when you hold the Lakers under 100 with Luka Doncic on the court, it tells you a lot about Rudy Gobert.
That was Rudy Gobert's night.
And who was it? Was it you or who was it that was talking about? Were you asking? Oh, yeah. Yesterday, I heard you said something to David about defensive play, and David kind of was losing his mind on what defenses were being allowed to do while I was gone.
Yeah.
Well, it's something I want to address a little bit with Tony Jones today because something's different. Something feels different. And as much faking as LeBron was trying to do, it tells me that there's a little bit more physicality, and he's trying to get those officials to get the whistle in their mouth and start officiating.
Yeah.
But if this is how the league is going to allow Rudy Gobert to play, a little bit more physical, a little bit more contact, then the league could tweak. The league could change a little bit. Because I've always felt like, Rudy Gobert's defense is incredible, but how much is he worth to an organization? Well, last night he was worth everything. Last night he was the best thing Minnesota had.
Minnesota loses that game badly. They don't lose. They lose it badly.
They lose it badly.
If Rudy Gobert's not out on the court. He earned every penny of that monstrous contract in that singular game alone.
Yeah, he did. So I guess we just need to get some direction because it's weird how the league evolves right in front of your face. You know what it is? It's like watching your kids grow up. You don't actually realize, oh my gosh, my son is turning into a 6'7", 320-pound monster. It was a gradual feed up. It was like a gradual, and then one day you wake up and you feel like, I've got a grown man in my house. This is crazy. It's how the league evolves. Like before you know it, they start swallowing whistles. Leagues start leaning more on aggressive defensive play. Offensive players continue to flop and act like morons to try to draw calls. But it just feels like there's something different right now with the NBA.
Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Nominate the youth volunteer that you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week. Submit your nominations at kslsports.com/contest. Then every Thursday, like today, JJ and Alex coming up this afternoon will announce a winner. It's all sponsored by Hercules First Credit Union and Beehive Mills. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Dante wing right. He'll move to his left. He'll fire in a three. It's offline. Rudy got the rebound and slammed it home. A new postseason career high, 27 points, and a new postseason career high, 21 rebounds for the big man.
Let's get physical. NBA wants to get physical. Let's get physical.
How much physicality are they going to continue to allow?
Nice pull, Lloyd.
Postseason high, 27 points. Career, right?
Yep.
That was a career
high.
27 points.
How about this? Nobody has gone for 27 and 24 in a playoff game since some guy named Kareem Abdul-Jabbar did it all the way back in 1974.
Has it been that long?
Yeah.
Since at 27 and 24?
27-point, 24-rebound game.
Well, it is an amazing line. But we've seen a couple of things offensively from Rudy. I mean, but everything he does is pretty much at the rim. But I did go back. I was just looking at the back end of the season for them. And through April, he averaged 20 points a game. Through April, he had a 35-point game against Brooklyn, a 23-point game against Philly, a 21-point game against Denver. He had some. Now, in this series against the Lakers, it was the first time over double digits. In fact, it was the first time past 6 points. He went 2 points, 6 points, 1 point, 5 points, 27 points. So Minnesota figured out something for the elimination. They were like, all right, let's do this. And props to them, and props to the staff, and props to Rudy for being able to execute it.
Let's miss a lot of three-pointers, have Rudy rebound them, and put them back in.
That's it.
Let's do that.
If you could, Ant, clank it off the right side of the rim.
And Rudy's going to flare right to the bucket.
Rudy, you stake out right off the block.
If it wasn't for Rudy and Julius Randle, they would have been blown out.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
We'll use the rim and backboard for assists, and we'll just slaughter them.
That's what we got going on. I remember watching Paul Millsap play in college at Louisiana Tech, and that's all they did. Paul Millsap couldn't hit a jumper, but they didn't run any offense for him at all. They just had a bunch of gunners who could not make a shot. They were horrible three-point shooters, but these dudes loved to hoist it up, and Paul would just outmuscle everybody for an offensive rebound and put it back in. Like, that dude averaged like 24 points a game in college without having a single play ran for him. It was crazy. One of the weirdest things I've ever seen. All right, so on Tuesday, I chatted with David, and you know how we were giving David a lot of grief throughout the regular season about these 140 to 132 games. And like this it's ridiculous. It's hard to watch because it's like an all-star game. Nobody cares. And
all transition threes,
no defense, high scoring. It just didn't feel like real basketball. Well, it's gone the other way here in the playoffs. The pendulum has swung all the way back, and David is not happy about it.
So, not this February, but last February, the NBA changed all the rules because everybody was complaining about there was too much offense.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And we have too much offense and too much this and they made the game much more physical, and it stayed that way for the last 18 months. Well, the impact of that is that the playoffs are a bloodbath. And I don't give a crap what anyone says about 80s basketball. It sucks. And so did 90s basketball. And we're getting way too close to it right now because Orlando knows they can't beat Boston. So what are they doing? Mugging them on every play.
Yeah.
And Houston knows that they're not good enough to beat Golden State, and they're beating them up on every play. And Steph Curry has not been touched this much, including the birth of his 5 children. I mean, it is silly how much he's being grabbed and held and, like, manhandled right now. And there was no – you go through – and Detroit kind of knows they can't beat New York, so they're doing the same thing.
Yep.
The only 2 series that are actually really, really enjoyable to watch. We've had great close game basketball. New York, Detroit, close games have been great. Houston, Golden State, close games. But the game itself kind of sucks because there's no flow and everyone's grabbing it. It's so physical. It's a verge of a fight every minute. It's just ridiculous. With the amount of talent this league has that we've degraded to this point, it's just absurd. The 2 series that are absolutely I can't take my eyes off and you can't stop watching right now are Clippers, Denver, and Lakers, Minnesota. You know why? Both teams think they're good enough to win. So they actually just play basketball. Now, hopefully in the next series, we go back to playing basketball. But what Orlando's doing to Boston, what Houston's doing to Golden State, what Detroit's done to New York is bad for the game. And the other choice is having 125 points a night because we allow freedom movement. You know why we're having 125 points? Because our players are freaking awesome. Because they're so good that they can't be guarded anymore. Yeah, I don't want Luka Doncic driving into someone's driving lane. That rule change, that's fine. But literally being allowed to grab and hold and mug and abuse every freaking play? No. Freedom of movement. Bring it back because our players are the greatest in the world.
Classic David, by the way.
So, a couple of things. Golden State scored 95 points in Game 1, 94 points in Game 2, 104 in Game 3, 109 in Game 4, and then they scored 116 in a loss last night in Game 5. And the one that stands out the most to me, it could be LeBron James because he flops and he's such a crybaby and everybody's built the memes off of it. But as far as when I'm watching, what they're doing to Steph Curry is the most obvious assault on a player, getting away with it, whether it's Van Vliet or anybody else.
Yeah.
They're constantly hounding Steph Curry. And I have not heard Steph Curry say a word about it.
No. This is where, honestly, this is where Steve Kerr needs to step in and do one of those Phil Jackson before the game tirades where he's like, you know what? We don't have a chance in this series if they keep mugging him the way they have.
Yeah.
They're just, watch the game tonight. They're going to mug him like crazy. It was a message to the officials saying, hey, do your job. Steve Kerr needs to jump in and help in here.
Yep. The other thing that I think is really interesting, LeBron James is almost 41.
Yeah. We're not that much older than LeBron James.
No. We're just a few years older.
Yeah.
He's almost 41. And I think about where the game is and where it used to be. You didn't have 41 because guys would beat you out of the game until you're, 35, 36.
Yeah.
People would beat you up and knock you out of the game. LeBron will play into his 40s and maybe even past 41. And a lot of that is because of how the game has been allowed to be played, but not this postseason. Now, he said Minnesota is playing the game just to play the game. I agree. I don't think Minnesota got overly aggressive or overly physical, but they weren't kind. They knew what they needed to do. And I was mentioning to you, I think that they were at least 4 or 5 minutes into the third quarter before Rudy Gobert got his second foul, I think, which allowed him to be overly aggressive through the fourth quarter. If you can't get Rudy Gobert in some type of foul trouble in the first half of a game, and he's allowed to play closeout, physical, hand-in-your-face defense, his defensive skills are going to pound you to dust. And officials get to sway that whole thing. The officials could have changed that for LeBron James. They could have changed that for the Lakers. And they didn't. They allowed him to play physical. And because of that physicality, you had LeBron James flopping on the court again, trying to put on this show because he knows that's how he stayed in the league. That's how he's going to stay in the league. Because a 41-year-old, a 42-year-old, they can't play a physical brand of basketball like that. They just can't. Because after his shot, he's got to get back to the other end of the court, and there's aggression on the other end of courts. When you got a guy like Anthony Edwards who's got a full head of steam, and you got to step into the paint, and he's running up your chest, that hurts. I don't know how long LeBron James can do stuff like that.
Yeah. So, bottom line is, we know David's opinion on this. We'll find out Tony Jones' opinion on this coming up in about 20 minutes. Do you hate watching NBA basketball right now? Are you, as a fan, I'm not talking about you specifically, but you specifically, and those listening right now, do you not like what you're seeing right now? Do you wish it was more regular season basketball? I don't mind it. I like it.
No, I love it.
I like seeing these dudes get punched in the mouth a little bit.
I like to see how Steph Curry responds.
Yes.
I like to see how LeBron James responds. LeBron flops and flails.
And the great ones do respond.
Nobody took and again, I'm not being that LeBron versus Michael guy, but nobody took a bigger beating in his evolution as a player than Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan got roughed up by the Celtics. He then got roughed up by the Pistons. Those dudes were out for blood. And what did he do? Go watch the documentary. He hit the weight room and said, I can't deal with this anymore. I'm getting beat up, so what am I going to do? I'm going to get bigger, I'm going to get stronger, and I'm going to be more aggressive.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. So to that point, it's one of the reasons that, as crazy as this might be, and just as wild it is that Denver's up 3-2 on the Clippers, and this is a very intriguing series, no doubt about it, as David mentioned. It's a great series. But if you think about what's happening right now, who does that favor? It favors Denver.
Yeah.
Because James Harden is the king of drawing the foul and going to the line. Kawhi Leonard is just trying to find his bearings back in postseason basketball again. And for a game or two, you thought, holy cow, is this the Kawhi of 2017? Is this the Kawhi of 2018? But if you're going to swallow a whistle and you're going to allow Aaron Gordon and crew to play a physical brand of defense and not put James Harden at the line every time he does anything, then you can come out of the Clippers series. But if you're cautious and you're blowing whistles, it's going to put Harden at the line. It's going to put Kawhi Leonard at the line. It's going to allow them to be physical offensively and draw those fouls, and it's going to change the game. So I just wonder how the game is being called, how it affects each team. I think it affects the Clippers in that Denver matchup as much as anybody, because there's no way that Denver should come out of this thing.
No.
I know they've got the best player in the game.
They don't have the best team.
They don't have the best team.
That bench is atrocious.
The bench is horrible. I don't even know what they're doing with Russell Westbrook and DeAndre Jordan. Like that's who you're trying to win with?
Good luck.
That's their bench.
Yeah, that's it.
So if you're going to allow Aaron Gordon to play that way and Michael Porter, now maybe that exhausts them, but this series is really intriguing. And if the officiating doesn't change, then Denver probably eliminates them tonight.
And Minnesota may very well come out of the West.
If this is how they call it.
Minnesota will just physically beat the crap out of everybody.
That's a crazy thought.
I mean, I don't think they will, but the way things are going right now, it certainly favors Minnesota.
That is a wild thought. Oklahoma City can bang a little bit.
They can, but if Minnesota's allowed to play like they were last night, they'll
throw punches with everybody.
They'll throw punches.
Yeah.
No doubt. All right, Hans and Scotty. Coming up next, what you may have missed, Tony Jones joining the program. TJ on the show. He'll argue with all of you. Coming up at 1:05 right here on 97.5, the EKSL Sports Zone.
Looking for the latest on the Jazz, Utes, Cougars, and Aggies? Yeah! We've got you covered. This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G on 97.5, the Sports Zone.
Hans Olsen, Scott Gerard. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Time for another edition of What You May Have Missed. We'll talk some Jazz and NBA and everything else with Tony Jones coming up in our next segment. Hey, remember to be listening all day on Monday. It's a big day here on the Zone on Monday. It's a Minky Monday where we will be giving away Minky Couture blankets. The original classy blanket, Minky Couture, makes the perfect Mother's Day gift. And Zone listeners, you're going to get 50% off when you use the code ZONE50. Don't miss Minky Monday right here on the Zone. All right. Somebody had some apologizing to do, Hans.
Yeah, this is a situation that kind of unfolded with the whole Shedeur Sanders and the prank phone call. Well, the defensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons, his name is Jeff Ulbrich, had to issue an apology for him and his son, his 21-year-old son, and you can just hear it in the tone of his voice, what this situation meant to him.
Publicly apologize to Shedeur and the Sanders family for what occurred. Second of all, I want to publicly apologize to Mr. Blank, Terry Fontenot, Reed Morris, and the entire Falcons organization. My actions of not protecting confidential data were inexcusable. My son's actions were absolutely inexcusable. And for that, we are both deeply sorry. The NFL has taken action, and I fully respect the punishment. We take full responsibility, my son and myself, and we will not be appealing the fine in any way. Going forward, I promise my son and I will work hard to demonstrate we are better than this. Again, I'm deeply sorry for our actions.
Questions? Jeff, when did you become aware that he was involved in the situation?
After the draft, yeah.
What was your reaction and how did you process it with your family and the team?
Yeah, obviously not happy and shocked. And so I made the Falcons aware of the situation, and then our next course of action was to try to get a hold of the Sanders family so we could apologize in person, which we were able to do. The Sanders family, Shedeur.
The level of disappointment in his voice, having to apologize for his 21-year-old son.
Yeah, It's and look.
No, Daddy, no! What is that? Is that Jerry Maguire?
That's not Jerry Maguire. It's Mr. Deeds.
Oh, that's Mr. Deeds.
Close.
Mr. Deeds when the sun comes in.
But not close at all.
Yeah, it's close.
But not really.
They're both sports shows, right?
Kind of. There was a quarterback in Mr. Deeds.
Yeah, they're both sports related. But
I mean, the 100,000. I don't care who you are. 100,000 hurts, and especially if you're a defensive coordinator, maybe making what 750, 800.
Yeah.
What do you think an NFL DC makes?
About 1.2.
You think you think he's over $1 million?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
So the dude's losing maybe 10% of his salary next year. That's not fun.
No. But his son is losing more. I was talking to Lloyd on the way home. His son's losing about an inch of epidermis off his butt.
Oh.
But I was talking to Lloyd on the way home, and, all joking aside, as a man of a son that I'm so proud of, I love that kid. I'm so proud of him. If something happened that affected my job but put him in a negative light, my thoughts and my pain would be more for him than me.
You're a better man than I am.
I'm sorry, it would. It would.
I'd be so ticked off. Well, okay.
I not in this situation.
What if you got fired? The current job you're in now.
If I got fired and he wasn't a complete public embarrassment, yeah, I've got a problem with that. This kid, Ulbricht's kid, is a public embarrassment. This will affect the rest of his life. It will change the direction of his life.
Yeah.
The negativity, the death threats, the horrible things. And he put this on himself. It was a dumb prank, and it found its way to social media. If my son got me fired for something that was behind the scenes and dumb, but he's okay, and he's going to go live his life, and this isn't going to disrupt his life, I would be horrified. I would be ticked off. But if it was something that changed the direction of his life, like he went to prison for it, or became a complete public embarrassment, and I knew finding employment or anywhere he went, that's an Olsen kid. That's that Olsen kid that, remember the whole social media thing? I do not want my kid to have to suffer that. So it's two different situations. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it's something that affects my son to the point where his life is completely changed, I'm more worried about him than I am me. Yes. If it's something that he did that secretly got me fired, well, then he and I are going to have a little talk. And it's going to be really ugly. Even if he is 21, it's going to be ugly between us.
And that's the thing. He's not 17. He's 21. He's been a legal adult for three years now.
Yeah, that's going to. But can't you imagine? Jeff Ulbrich is seeing what's going on social media with his son right now.
Yeah.
And my concern would be even his safety. Like, there's people that want to beat that kid half dead into a ditch. And I don't want that for my kid.
Surprising Sanders' family hasn't said anything. Have they? I haven't seen anything. If I missed it, let me know. But
nope.
All right, 102, the great Tony Jones joins us next right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Number one. Miss any part of the show? Every moment of every show is available in podcast form by searching Hans and Scotty on your favorite podcasting platform or online at KSLSports.com. This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hans Olsen, Scott Gerard, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. One of our favorite dudes on the planet.
Should be in a good mood. I mean, his Knicks are rocking and rolling.
Yeah, and he's in L.A., so he's got some decent weather to work with. He's covering some NBA hoops. But I don't know. Look, Tony can find a way to argue with anybody. And so let's find out how he's doing. Tony Jones from The Athletic joining us. How are you, sir?
What's up, handsome?
Oh, you got me. I was all ready for war until I heard the handsome part. I mean, you would say my Knicks were rocking and rolling, like we're on the verge of blowing the series, like. And I was just like, how can you say this? How can you introduce me like this? And then, Hands just goes, yeah, he's just really handsome.
Man, every time I'm telling you, Tony, it's every time I think of you, I just see that big dimple off that left cheek, and I'm like, man, he's got that big old smile, that grin. He's just sharp. He's always clean cut.
And how much are you down total from your from LB's wise?
About 35.
Yeah.
Nice.
I run about 5 miles a day now.
I love it.
Jeez.
I love that you love running.
Are you doing all cardio? Because I'm like trying, like I dropped some, and now
all cardio. I don't have time for weightlifting.
That's kind of how I am too.
Just all cardio.
Yeah, that's I just get.
But you know what? The thing about it is, like, much like Rock Olsen, I am like naturally husky. So. You know what I mean? I'm just not 6 foot. I'm just not 6'7" like he is. It could just go ahead and get football scholarships. He's going to be in the NFL, by the way.
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, nobody loves Tony Jones more than Rock Olsen. Yeah,
my God, the feeling is mutual. Like that's like my little brother, man. I love that kid.
Yeah, it's so funny.
I DM him like all the time.
No, I did not know that.
My God!
I hope he's more respectful to you than he is to me.
Oh my God! I stalk his DMs. I'm like, keep going. Like, you got it. Keep pushing, kid. And he's like, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Oh, that's awesome.
Thank you so much. I read it and it's like, yeah, stop DMing me.
Tony, how's your family? Everybody good?
Everybody's good. The daughter is down in Orlando. The 15-year-old is down in Orlando at her national cheer competition. She has become quite the competitive cheerleader, and the 21-year-old is a junior at Morgan State, and she's a journalism student. And she's going into sports journalism.
You got to. It's your job and obligation as a father to steer her as far away from this business as you possibly can.
Listen, I tried. She does not listen to me at all.
What's it like being with the Athletic? They treat you good, Tony?
It was good. I gotta thank you for saving my career back in Vegas that day. Back around
we weren't gonna bring it up, Tony. We weren't gonna say anything.
Oh my gosh! Did you know Scotty and I were actually talking with Jason Kidd when that happened? Scotty and I we were interviewing Jason Kidd. And we hear this screaming, and we look up, and it's like, that's our guy, Tony. Like, I don't know what's going on, but if it goes down, we're all going down together.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. If we need to bury a body, then we're going to do it together.
I was trying to fight a Samoan that day, right?
I know. I remember. Yeah.
I don't know how well that would have gone for me. And I knew it was. So the greatest part about that whole thing was the next day, I didn't realize how viral that thing had gone until the next day when Chris Haynes comes up to me and he goes, Tony, I just want to let you know, no matter what happens, we got your back.
And you're like, what?
I was like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? Like this, and then, everybody sees, Jason Kidd's being interviewed, and all the commotions in the background.
Yep. It was crazy, but it was funny. But the best part about it, though, Tony, was that it was kind of like, when your grandma forgets that her glasses are on her face, and she's like, where's my glasses? And she'll bring down the whole place because she can't find her glasses, and you're like, Grandma, it's on your face. Wasn't your laptop like in your bag or just under the chair or something?
No.
Oh.
The laptop had actually been taken.
Oh, okay.
That is the one thing that I will say in my defense. But it was taken by accident.
Well,
so the guy took it by accident because I was interviewing, and he thought that it was like a stray laptop.
Yeah.
Dirty, man.
So we could split the baby. Yes, the laptop was taken. No, there was no malicious intent behind it.
Ugh.
We're almost a decade removed from that too. That was like 10, 11 years ago.
We're over a decade. That was 11 years ago.
Wow.
Oh,
we just barely started the show.
That's been 11 years ago. Unbelievable.
Yeah. The great Tony Jones joining us from The Athletic, one of the best dudes on the planet. All right, so Tony, let's first off start with the series you're covering. You're watching this Clippers-Denver series, and Denver's got issues at coach. You got Jokic, who's trying to drag that team. They've got no bench whatsoever. But yet here they are leading that series. How does this thing play out?
I will actually push back on the coach part.
Yeah, I know. I think they found their guy. Yeah.
David Adelman is coaching a heck of a series. He's coaching a whale of a series. He's been terrific, and he's been really intentional. He's been really confident. I was really impressed with him last week when they were down 2-1, and he met with the media, and he talked about how Denver had lost Game 3, 117-83, and the series looked over right there. It was just okay, this series is over. This series might go 6 because, Game 5 is in Denver, but it's over. And, David Adelman, the day between games, he comes in, he says, we watched the film and we got punked. We sucked. And, the physicality, there was so much more physicality on the Clippers' part. We didn't have enough physicality, and we're going to fix it. And, that was you just don't see a coach come and own own his team's performance like that. And, I was really impressed with that. And the Nuggets go into it on Saturday, and obviously the Aaron Gordon game-winning dunk happens, and they even the series has been kind of swung ever since. But the Nuggets have figured some things out. I think Jokic has figured out how to attack the Clippers when for the first 3 games, I think he struggled to figure out how to attack the Clippers. And they finally got a Jamal Murray game in Game 5. So, I think, Game 6 can go either way. There's certainly potential to see a Game 7, but I would favor the Nuggets in a Game 7.
So, Scotty and I have been going back and forth in regards to the way games are being called in the postseason as maybe compared to the regular season or postseason pass. And it does feel like there's more physicality being allowed. And it does feel like there's more sub-100 games than I've seen in some time. And I was talking about how that could affect the way that Denver and the Clippers go back and forth, because anytime you got James Harden on the court, you're going to get a guy to a free throw line, and Kawhi Leonard could be the same with his physicality. Are you getting the feel that this NBA postseason is being officiated different maybe than the regular season? And if so, is that a shift in philosophy?
Well, it's 100% being officiated differently. There's a lot more physicality being allowed, and guys are being allowed to play. I think the biggest example of this is, I think you got to look at the Minnesota-Los Angeles Lakers series, and I think you have to look at Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves, every call that he would get in the regular season, he got none of those calls in that series. And it exposed him. And it went from him being able to, be a free throw merchant in the regular season to him having to actually make shots against a really good and physical perimeter defense of the Minnesota Timberwolves, and he couldn't do it. And it really swung the series. It killed the Lakers because, you're going to rely on Luka to, drop 28, 30 a night. LeBron dropped 26 a night. And, you're asking LeBron to at 40 years old to drop 26 a night, but you're also asking him to be the best defensive player on the floor because your team can't play defense. Therefore, LeBron can't be there offensively in the fourth quarter to score baskets because you're asking him to play both ends of the floor for 3 quarters at 40 years of age. Therefore, the Lakers really needed Austin Reeves in that series, and he was terrible because he couldn't get to the free throw line, and it killed the series. That series went 5 games. The Lakers lost all 5 of those games in the fourth quarter when all 5 of those games were up for grabs. And it's things on the margins that really matter. And the fact that the game was more physical and the fact that, the officiating was tilted more towards being allowed to defend, I think it ended the Lakers' seasons on the margins because they were not able to have the same Austin Reeves that they had in the regular season.
With the officiating the way that it is right now in the playoffs, does that give you more confidence that Minnesota might be able to make a bit of a run here by the way that they're playing right now?
I think Minnesota could come out of the West because Anthony Edwards is trending towards being a top 5 to 7 player in the NBA. They have guards who can defend. They have Jaden McDaniels on the wing who can really defend. They're bringing Naz Reid off the bench. Julius Randle, see, now I'm getting mad again. If this was the Julius Randle that had played for the Knicks, we would have won a championship by now. Okay. I'm so sorry. Y'all got me in the fan mode again.
Oh, that's awesome.
Julius Randle is playing some of the best basketball of his career, and that's before you get to Rudy Gobert and Mike Conley. I mean, that is a deep, physical, well-rounded, well-balanced team on both ends of the floor, led by a supernova in Anthony Edwards, and they are not afraid of anybody. They went into that Lakers series knowing that they were the better team. They were the better team by far. It looks like Golden State's going to come out of the Houston series, and I think that they're a better team than the Golden State Warriors, and I think they're a more healthy team, and I think that they're a deeper team. And if they can come out of that series, they're going to be in the Western Conference Finals, and I would not be surprised if they don't go down easy in that series either. I think Minnesota has a real chance to do some real damage in the playoffs there.
How does Oklahoma City match up with Denver if they do advance? And also, I'd like to know your thoughts on Oklahoma City as a matchup with Minnesota in the finals.
Well, I think, with Denver, obviously, Jokic is going to be a real problem for Oklahoma City or for anybody. But Denver's point of attack defense is not great. And, I expect Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to really thrive. He would really thrive in that matchup. One of the things, I was in Oklahoma back in March when Denver split with the Thunder. They had a mini series in Oklahoma City. They split with the Thunder 1-1. But the second half of the second game, Jalen Williams didn't play. He had kind of had a hip point. He fell on his hip in the first half. I would favor Oklahoma City in that series. I would pick them in 6 games if that is the matchup. And I think that if Oklahoma City and Minnesota were to match up in the Western Conference Finals, I would pick Oklahoma City, but I would pick Oklahoma City in 7 games. I think that that series would go the distance, and I think Minnesota will have a real chance to win that series as well.
True or false? Game 1 in October, the Milwaukee Bucks will have Giannis on their roster.
I'm going to go slightly false. I think, obviously the narrative is that the Bucks have to trade him. Knowing the Bucks a little bit the way that I do, I think that people are going to be surprised at how steadfast the Bucks hang on to Giannis. If Giannis goes, they're going to make Giannis go public with a trade request and say, "Hey, I want to be traded." That's the only way that Milwaukee's going to acquiesce to dealing Giannis. Giannis is going to have to really force the issue. They're not just going to trade him. So I'm going to say slightly false, but I do think that there's still a real chance that Giannis is on that roster. But the reality of it is Milwaukee's in a really, really, really difficult spot. They don't have a lot of assets. They don't have any money. They don't have any trade assets. And, their way out of where they are right now is to in fact, trade Giannis and try to get a bunch of assets in return.
All right, Tony, this is a tough one. A lot of speculation attached to this question and a lot of conjecture and a lot to still be seen. But how many games in the regular season would this roster win? Walker Kessler, Lauri Markkanen, Cooper Flagg, Colin Sexton, Isaiah Collier, starting 5, with Keontae George, Jordan Clarkson, and Kyle Filipowski coming off the bench.
That roster would go 33 and 49, maybe 35 and 47. Very good front court. Really need a starting point guard. I like Isaiah Collier a lot. I don't think that right now, currently, he's a starter in this league. I like Colin Sexton a heck of a lot. I think he's a 6-man in this league. Cooper Flagg I think he's a can't-miss prospect. And I think that he's going to eventually be an all-NBA level player. You put him with Lowry, you put him with Walker, you bring Kyle Filipowski off the bench. I call it the all-clear front court, by the way. I'm not going to call it the all-white or all-Caucasian front court. I'm just going to call it the all-clear front court, like Delta Clear.
It's all clear.
Yeah. I like it.
It's like the clear lane at the airport.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So, that's one of the better front courts in the league, in my opinion. But the problem is the pendulum swings all the way the other way when it comes to the backcourt. So if the Jazz do get Cooper Flagg, I fully expect them to go out and try to find a veteran starting level point guard. I don't think that they're going to get Cooper Flagg and just kind of rest on the roster. I think if they get Cooper Flagg, I think that the Jazz will know that they have a chance to be competitive a little sooner rather than later, and I think that they would move in that direction. Not all the way in that direction. Like, they're not going to sell all of their assets to go and get a 13-year guy or something like that. But I do think that things change a little bit if they get Cooper Flagg. If they don't get number one, then I think that we're trending towards, the same kind of season next year that we saw this year. But if they do get Cooper Flag, I think that, it's kind of like, okay, we have our guy. Let's move accordingly.
It's your SPF 60 front court right there. It's a very sunburn worthy front court there. All right, so Tony, before we let you go, man, the NBA already rigged one lottery for the Knicks when they got Patrick Ewing. Why can't they do that again for the Jazz and Cooper Flag?
That lottery was not rigged.
The envelope was frozen. It was cold.
Yeah, it might have been rigged.
It might have been rigged.
All right, so listen. All right, what are we gonna what happens if Cooper Flag goes to the San Antonio Spurs?
Oh, we riot, man. That's unacceptable.
Then it's like, okay, this is getting a little bit too obvious here.
Yeah,
right.
I think this is the way the NBA can get everybody off the conspiracy theory is actually give the Jazz, who they would never in their right mind give the number one pick to, give them Cooper Flag and then be like, hey, we're not rigging anything. Look, we gave this can't miss white prospect to the Jazz. Like, of course it's not rigged. To me, it makes too much sense. They need to rig it so the Jazz get Cooper Flag.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I also think it makes a lot of sense that the league really needs Cooper Flag in the Eastern Conference. Because have we watched the Eastern Conference playoffs yet?
Yeah, not good.
Have we watched the Cleveland-Miami series?
Oh, boy.
Ooh, that got ugly. That got real ugly.
Oh, man, like, Adam Silver's got to be like, oh, man, we got to get some of these guys out east. Like, Cooper Flag out west, like, we're just really adding to, a Western Conference that's crazy. So my personal opinion is that the league is going to rig the lottery, and I'm so sorry, Jazz fans, for Cooper Flag to go somewhere in the Eastern Conference. And my guess,
Washington,
is the Philadelphia 76ers.
Oh, no. Tony, no. Stop it.
No. That is a big market, and Cooper Flag with the Sixers, and they get healthy. They could win relatively early, not win a championship, but win at a high level relatively early, perhaps as soon as next year. So, Adam, if I'm trying to think for Adam Silver, and I'm like, well, let's let him go to Philly. Philly does not deserve Cooper Flag at all. Not in a million years, because Daryl Morey has messed that up there. But I can see it happening.
Yeah. Well, on that note, I guess we'll wrap this bad boy up. Tony.
Yeah, but Tony, I want to sit down. I want you to come in for a 3-hour show. Me and you, Scotty, just need to get after the NBA, because we got to talk Victor Wembanyama and what San Antonio's doing with him. And there's so many things that we got to jump into.
You pick your meal. We'll have it fully catered. We'll add anything you want, and then we can just talk ball for 3 hours.
I'll feed you grapes, and Scott will fan you.
Yes, we'll do that for you.
We're catering 7-Eleven now, huh?
Hey, if that's what you want.
The old hamburger hot dog?
7-Eleven Lizzie's.
Yeah, hey. Hey, you know what? Whatever Tony wants, Tony gets. How
Nothing but the best.
Yes. Nothing.
I would have thought that after my Cooper Flag rant just now that, we're hanging up the phone like, okay, well, we don't have to have him on for another 11 years. So.
Hey, it's not for lack of trying, Tony. You know we've been trying to do this for a while now.
I mean, I think Hans is told people he doesn't love me anymore, but, I digress.
Oh, that's far from the truth.
We're just glad to get you on a station that people listen to, so we're excited about
nothing
that.
Better than a Tony Jones bear hug. Jeez.
There's nothing better than that. That is fact.
Tony, you're the best, man. Thanks.
You're the best, Tony. Thank you.
There he is, Tony Jones, the Athletic, right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
You just can't help yourself, can you? You just can't.
I'm sorry.
You're not wrong. It's just, how much truth should you tell?
Whoa. Lloyd's giving me a disapproving finger wagging there. Tell Tony I'm sorry if I put him in a bad spot. I'm sorry. All right, 133. Hey, by the way, we're talking about providing a little good karma for the Utah Jazz in their hopes of overcoming any kind of rigging that the NBA is trying to put in front of it. All you need to do is go to KSLSports.com. That's KSLSports.com and click on the 2-for-1 button. What we're doing right now is all you have to do is donate $2. We're just begging you. Donate $2. That's it, $2. If you want to donate more, that's great, but just a quick $2 donation to Primary Children's Hospital. You can do that right at KSLSports.com. And all of that money, of course, going to Primary Children's, helping so many kids in need, going through the worst situation of their families' lives. And hopefully that provides a little good karma that comes back towards the Jazz in their hopes of securing that number 1 pick. And I don't know, having somebody wearing number 2 for the Jazz next year that may be from Duke. It's your 2-for-1 going on right now at KSLSports.com.
Was he mad? Or is he all right?
Was he disappointed?
We're all right.
Okay. All right. Looks like you were on that phone a long time. You had some patching up to do.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right. Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's time to saddle up and talk about the winners and the losers. This is the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, here's the good.
It is your good, it is your bad, it is your ugly right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hey, yesterday, you played the Giannis comments after the Tyrese Halliburton dad incident in that playoff game. Halliburton was also asked about it. And given, had your dad done something like this, or if my dad had done something, you love your dad so much, and you know the sacrifices they've made for you, and so you want to protect them, but you also don't want to condone what they did, and you know it was bad. I think Halliburton handled it probably about as well as he could, trying to walk that line. Here's his comments about how his dad tried to mix it up with Giannis after that game.
As far as the incident between Giannis and my pops, I had no idea it happened until I got to the back and was showed the video. Me and my pops have talked about that, and I don't agree with what transpired there from him. I think basketball is basketball, and let's keep it on the court. And I think that he just got excited, saw his son make a game winner, and came on the court. But I think we had a conversation, and I think he just needs to just allow me to just play basketball, stay over there. I'll come to him to celebrate. But I think it's the emotions of the game just got excited there. But I talked with him. I'll talk with Giannis eventually about it. Just I don't think that my pops was in the right at all there, and unfortunate what happened in the end there. But I mean, this series was a lot of war of words, a lot of war of antics, a lot of stuff going back and forth, and that's just part of this rivalry and what we've built here over the last couple of years. And it's unfortunate what happened there, but I think it's just competition. And as far as my pops, again, I don't agree with what happened there. We'll have a conversation. Everybody's grown men, and we'll just go from there.
Essentially said, Pops was in the wrong, can't do it, not okay. We'll have a chat about it, but didn't completely throw him under the bus. It's a hard line to walk when it's blood.
Yeah, I've thought about this one way too much. Some of these topics sit in my craw, and then I just sit there and stew. And I hate playing the what-ifs game. I hate it.
Yeah.
But in these situations, you got to play the what-ifs. What if, instead of Giannis, it was Nikola Jokic and his Serbian temper? And what if Nikola Jokic knocks Halliburton's dad out, breaks his jaw? And what if his brothers are 2 rows, 3 rows up, and his brothers come down and start stomping on his head?
Yeah.
So I play the what-if game. He's lucky it was Giannis, and Giannis is a tremendous young man that controlled his temper, went face-to-face. I watched the video again. Apparently that was Halliburton's bomb that kind of smacks Giannis's arm.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
There's a woman standing next to him, and she, right when he walks up, she kind of like smacks his arm. I don't know. Giannis didn't know that was Halliburton's dad when his dad came out on the court. But what I'm trying to say is, it's idiots like this that ruin it for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Because now the league has to be like, geez, if if he did that to the wrong guy, I take Nikola Jokic just because of the Serbian blood, and his brothers beat the crap out of some fans, and it's always been edgy with that group.
Yeah.
If it's the wrong guy, this whole scenario is different. Now all of a sudden he's the victim, even though he's the idiot that took the court. And we could see her all we want, say, hey, he deserved it. He deserved it. Nikola Jokic should be out of the league.
Oh, yeah.
If he broke that man's jaw, left him flat on the floor, and
he'd get sued. He'd have criminal charges against him.
And he shouldn't.
No.
Halliburton's dad deserved to have his jaw broken. He deserved to be collapsed on the floor and stomped, honestly. I'm in one of the worst moments of my life. I just got eliminated.
I might be forcing a trade.
And I just got eliminated by
this guy.
This guy.
And now his old man's running at me.
He was voted the #1 most hated guy in the NBA, which you're starting to understand why.
A little bit, yeah.
Comes from a complete idiot.
Yeah. Although he was the mature one.
Yeah.
I mean, Giannis was obviously the mature,
the top end maturity.
But I like the way Tyrese, essentially said, yeah, my dad's in the wrong. He didn't say like, hey, look, he's blood and I'll always have his back. And, he did give him a lot of outs and made excuses for him, but he did say what he did was wrong. And I appreciate that.
What ticks me off is the scenario went about as good as it could have gone. But if I'm the NBA now, I'm like, I'm going to have to run tape around the whole perimeter.
Yeah.
And make sure that parents that are sitting courtside can't storm out on the court with a towel that has a print of their son's face on it to shove in the guy's face that just lost.
Yeah. No bueno. Can't do it. I mean, if it was just a regular fan, that guy would never be allowed back in that arena again, ever.
So I think the dad should get a year suspension.
I do too. Personally. I do too.
And then just make it real clear. We're not doing this because luckily he made it out of here awake.
Yeah.
And not on a
stretcher. Yeah.
Because think about it. What would the conversation be? Let's say Giannis threw the punch and broke the man's jaw. A punch coming from Giannis could break your jaw. The guy is muscular, quick, and Halliburton's dad is old.
Would never see it coming.
Never see it coming, and his jaw would be broke, and then what would our conversation be?
You got to control your tempo. You got to be at a higher standard if you're a player.
Right.
You always have to take the high road.
That's the direction it would be.
It's not right.
But what the conversation should be is, okay, good, he got what he deserved. Now let's move on. That's not how the NBA would handle it.
You provoke a high-level athlete, an alpha athlete, at their most worst moment emotionally. I mean, you damn near killed a tuba player after a game.
I did.
And you had already, and that game had been over for an hour or so.
I nearly went after a cadet because he told me to stop crying. And I lost my mind.
Yeah.
Giannis is amazing. That was great control by Giannis.
Hans and Scotty, there's your good. Let's get to the bad.
Now the bad.
Well, this Jets and Blues series is really starting to ratchet up. And I'm telling you, this thing is getting heated. It's back and forth. And yesterday in the game, Mark Scheifele took a hit from Braden Shin that is just next level hit. Now, they're saying it's a blind side. You could see that Scheifele was kind of turning, and Shin saw that his eyes weren't on him, and Shin went high with the elbow, kind of threw it. It almost looked collarbone high. And Scheifele's feet and skates came out from under him, and he went down hard. Now, he finished the first period, did not come out of his 15-minute break for the second period, and was not seen in the rest of the game. And it was announced today that he's not even making the trip now to St. Louis. And where this thing is starting to get heated is now between the coaches. Now, this is crazy, and this cracks me up. So after the game, directly following the game, the coach for the St. Louis Blues, he said, Coach Montgomery said, let's make this very clear. 55, talking about Scheifele, 55 got hurt from the Fosca hit. He played 6 minutes after the shin hit. He didn't come back after he got rocked by Fosca. And then the head coach for the Jets, Coach Arneal, this is his quote. "Oh, I didn't know Monty got his medical degree and can say how our players got hurt. He's way off base and should not be making those comments. There's some things that have been going on in this series, and that was a repeat of what we've seen before. A player leaving his feet and then hitting a player in a very unprotected spot, like hitting him in the sense, almost blindsiding him. Not happy with how the call was made. A 2-minute minor? Not even looking at it is what I'm upset about." So he got a 2-minute minor for the shot. And his coaches are now losing their mind. One's trying to play doctor and make note of when Scheifele went off the ice. This is why the NHL is great, people. Like this hit's brutal. And it was a 2-minute, quick in the penalty box, and Shin was right back out there doing his thing. And I cannot wait to see this matchup resume.
Look, I was all about the battle for Florida.
Yeah.
Battle of Ontario. This one now is taking nice shape.
It is. It's a 3-2 lead for Winnipeg, but let's not forget, man, the Blues fought their way. They had to chew through a couple of bodies just to make it into the postseason. They had to eat through people.
Yeah.
What was that, like a 10-game win streak? Or
I want to say got into the teens.
I thought it was in the teens, 10, 11, 12-game win streak that St. Louis went on, actually, to extend past the Utah Hockey Club to even get into the postseason. And then they meet up with the feared Jets, and they've got a 3-2 series going on. And now the Jets are out without one of their best players, headed to St. Louis, probably gets tied up 3-3. People, we might get a Game 7 with horrible blood on the line between, like literal blood on the line between the Jets and the Blues.
Let's go. Hans and Scotty coming up next. A little whole world news. Then we'll talk a little hockey coming up in the 2 o'clock hour. It's all straight ahead. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Go! It's time to span the globe for the hard-hitting news you care about. Well, not really. But hey, at least we found it interesting. This is Whole World News on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
We've got the world in our hands.
You got the whole world in our hands. We've got the whole world in our hands. We've got the whole world in our hands. We've got the whole world in our hands.
All right, Hans, it's time for another edition of Whole World News. You have pets. I just saw you post a picture of Amanda and what's
Gracie.
Gracie, that's right. Said your two loves in your life.
Yes.
Gracie.
My two girls.
In fact, I think Gracie may be replacing Buster.
No, never.
Okay, all right. You love Buster. You love Gracie, your two dogs. Would you be willing to accept fines over them if they were causing noise issues in the neighborhood? Because a man in Hampshire, England, has now been fined over 3,000 francs because he has a pet rooster who is making a lot of neighborhood noise, and he refuses to get rid of the rooster.
And he loves his rooster.
He loves his rooster. The noise complaint started in 2022, early morning nuisance, and he was given a warning. And then somehow he was able to keep the rooster quiet for a matter of time, a brief period of respite, but then the problems resumed in 2023. Residents then decided to keep daily evidence diaries, including video of how early this rooster would make its racket every morning, as early as 4:45 a.m. each day. In November of 24, Brown was fined $200 and then ordered to pay another $300 in costs and an $80 surcharge. Jeez. Well, he said, "I'm not getting rid of my rooster. It's a family pet. It's been with us for a long time. It's one of our family members." Now, the extra legal costs have added up to well over $3,500 and close to $4,000.
4:45 in the morning. That's pretty early for a rooster.
The New Forest District Council says they are committed to protecting residents from unacceptable noise, where Harris said, what do you want me to do, kill the rooster? He's staying with me. So
he's just going to pay the fine.
He's just going to keep paying fines.
Put him in your bedroom. Or if he's that important, you build a little room out in your house, and at night, have him go in that room and soundproof it.
Yeah.
Put it next to you because
I got to imagine $4,000 would go quite a long ways in hopes of soundproofing a room.
Yeah. Didn't you have chickens next to you that were driving you nuts for a while?
I almost did not buy that house because of the chickens. Because, all right, so I bought the place from Spencer Nelson.
Yeah.
And when I first took a look at the house, we fell in love with it. But there were chickens running all over the yard. And I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do this. So when we first started talking about the house, I'm like, Spencer's like, hey, I got to stop you right now before we get down the path. The chickens are mine.
Oh.
And they are coming with me. Oh. He said, you will not be able to keep the chickens. Like, it was like I deep down wanted to keep the chickens. And he's like, I draw the line on the chickens. You can have this and this and this, but the chickens are coming with me. I'm like, oh, are you sure about that? You sure?
I really had my heart set.
Maybe we're going to have to drop that listing price down a little bit because I really had my heart set on those chickens running. But he would hold this chicken, and they were like his
babies.
Oh, my goodness. He loved those chickens.
Some people have chickens that they absolutely love. I mean, it sounds like this guy loves the rooster.
I love them deep fried, but that's about it.
Hey, did you know that in Germany, they don't say cock-a-doodle-doo? They say kiki-kiri. That's what they say that the rooster, the sound.
Kiki-kiri?
Yeah. We say
cock-a-doodle-doo.
Yeah. They say kiki-kiri. That's the sound that they think a rooster makes. Kiki-kiri. So and the only reason I know that is we had a German exchange student in Weezer that somebody bullied him over it.
Oh, really? Really? Somebody bullied him.
I don't know who. Somebody.
I like somebody over there in Germany is watching nothing but like U.S. TV and seeing, New York and Los Angeles and being like, I want to be an exchange student. I got to get myself to the United States. And what happens? You get sent to Weezer, Idaho, where you get bullied by a size 15 clown-wearing shoe guy.
No, it was not me. Don't you pick on me. It was not me. It was somebody I know really well.
But you were having none of it.
Oh, I said, hey, you let the Germans say it the way the Germans say it.
If the Germans want to say kiki-kiri, then go for it.
But, I mean, how fitting is it that that's what you get bullied for in Weezer? Don't tell us how our roosters.
No. You don't come over to. Yeah, you're an American, buddy. You say cock-a-doodle-doo.
And by the way, it's not just Germany. Many countries have their own pronunciation of the way a rooster caws. It's kind of interesting.
All right, we'll talk some NHL coming up next. Greg Wyshynski, straight ahead, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
You're locked on to Hans Olsen and Scotty Chin. That's right. Yeah! On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hans Olsen, Scott Gerard, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Final hour of the program. We're going to chat with Greg Wyshynski, one of our favorite senior NHL writer at ESPN. Get his thoughts on what's going down in the world of hockey. The NHL playoffs continue on.
There's some rumors.
There's some rumors out there.
Rumors are swirling around about Tampa Bay Lightning, potential available coaches, relationships that may have influence on certain things, and I don't know what to believe, but I know this. Utah Hockey Club is all about improving.
Yeah.
They're all about finding a way into the postseason, and like Bill Armstrong told us, we're all looking to improve 10%. Everybody's going to improve 10%, from me as the general manager through everybody. Yeah. So everybody's got to be on top of their game.
Greg Wyshynski, senior NHL writer for ESPN, kind enough to join us. Greg, how you doing?
Hey, Greg.
Doing well. How are you?
Good. So everybody here in Salt Lake City got introduced to a man by the name of John Cooper over the last 48 hours. What are your thoughts on this situation?
Well, we were one of the first to talk about it. My show with Jeff Merrick on Tuesday. It's called The Sheet, and he's my old podcasting partner. And we got into this a few times this season, actually, this notion that John Cooper could eventually go from having overseen a dynastic team with the Tampa Bay Lightning to potentially become the coach out in Utah. Now, the way hockey works is that we all assume if someone knows somebody or has a relationship with somebody, eventually they'll work together. It's just kind of how it is, right? So the fact that Ryan Smith and John Cooper are friends, the fact that they're golfing buddies, the fact that they get on pretty well, there has been this talk in the echo chamber of the NHL that eventually that might lead to Cooper coming in and becoming the coach in Utah and probably wielding a bit of power out there too. And so we talked about it before. It's not a definite thing or even a well-kept secret. It's just speculation at this point. But it definitely gets ratcheted up when the Lightning leave the playoffs in the first round, and Cooper's been there forever. He's only got one more year on his contract, and you start to wonder whether or not a guy who many consider to be the best coach in hockey might be looking at some other challenges eventually.
So what are the odds that he is out with Tampa? Because that's the first step. What's the percentage chance that he's out?
I don't know if I can put a percentage on it. I will say that he didn't talk like a guy who is thinking about leaving last night. I mean, he was definitely talking about the Lightning within the context of trying to get them back to the level where they're the big dog in Florida instead of the Panthers. I think he's pretty upset about the script getting flipped with the Panthers now all of a sudden becoming kings of that rivalry and looking like they might win another Stanley Cup. He's got another year left on his contract. He's definitely put roots down in Tampa, has a lovely home, has teenage kids, and certainly likes the beach life. That's the other thing about John Cooper, too. It's hard to think about him not being by the beach. We've come to understand him to be like that. But all that said, I mean, once he gets past next season, who knows? And once he sits down with his general manager, Julien Brisebois, after this season, who knows? We simply don't know what's going through his head, where his heart's at. This was a real tough one, I think, for him and for the Lightning because they really liked the team that they had. I think they really thought that this group could get past Florida, and if you get past Florida, potentially win another cup. And to go out in the manner in which they did, you wonder if there's a certain defeatism that's set in there, that there needs to be a change behind the bench or something in the organization, or if there's a sense of unfinished business where Cooper would want to stay and try to take another crack at it next year.
Well, obviously, Utah Hockey Club has a current coach in Andre Tierney. What's the thought about him throughout NHL circles across the league?
Well, from a functional standpoint, he's done a fine job. I mean, I think that sometimes in the history of the former franchise in Arizona, there were some overrating of people that excelled with those teams, be it a coach or a player, just because of the lack of respect for the organization and the sense that anything good that can come out of that dysfunctionality has to be doing something extraordinary. I think in his case, the job that he did before everything fell apart last season in Arizona with the relocation stuff was admired. And I think that he did a pretty good job this season, even if the results weren't there with regard to them, securing a playoff spot. He's a well-respected guy, but at the same time, I mean, we all know how this thing usually works, where if there's a new owner for a team, they inherit people, they keep them around for stability's sake, and then eventually they move their own people in. And that's kind of how it works in every market. And unless there's a spike in success and there's a reason for not only the coach but also management to maintain their positions in the organization, eventually the owner's the guy who spent the money, and eventually his guys get in there.
I do think that this is a more intriguing story and something that I think people should really be paying attention to, because you'd mentioned it, just the level of coaching you get from John Cooper. And I was breaking down coaches that had made cup runs over the last, going back to 2006. John Cooper has been in cup play 4 times, He's won it twice, 20 and 21, lost it twice, 2015 and 2022. And then I was going through it, won it with Vasilevsky in the net. Kucherov was kind of his main player. Braden Point was his main scorer in 21. And I don't know much about the 2 cup losses he had, but it's not like he's coaching the top 3 players in the league. He's taken a group, it seems like, through coaching, through hard playing, 2 cup play 4 times, a lot through just his coaching ability, right?
I think that's partially right. I mean, there's no doubt that the way he coaches, the style in which they play an aggressive, high-tempo style. The players love to play for him and love to play that style. He's also gotten the most out of certain players down the lineup. There's no question that he's done a great job as head coach in Tampa, and the success that they've had in making the cup final, winning cups, making conference finals, I think tracks back to how good he's been. That being said, their lineup was pretty loaded. I mean, Nikita Kucherov, although he wasn't very good in this playoff loss to the Panthers, has been one of the best scorers in the league, has an MVP to his credit. Victor Hedman, who is their rock on the blue line, is probably going to be a Hall of Fame defenseman. He had Steven Stamkos there for a long time. They've had a lot of talent on that roster that is as much a reason why they've challenged for championships as John Cooper is. But there's something to be said for being Phil Jackson. There's something to be said for being the guy that maximizes the potential of the talent on the roster. And Cooper certainly is that guy.
When you look at the landscape of the NHL and you look at what's going on currently in the playoffs, there's certain series that jump out at you and you're like, okay, that's going to be great. This Battle of Florida, we were all looking forward to that and thought, okay, we got something really fun and brewing there. And then you look at some of the other series, and at least us that are still trying to learn the playoffs a little bit, I didn't necessarily have Winnipeg and St. Louis on my bingo board as being a really fun, exciting series to keep an eye on. But boy, that thing has been physical, and it's been ugly, and it's been a blast to watch.
Yeah, really physical last night with the hits on Mark Scheifele that are going to put out the Jets' top center for Game 6 back in St. Louis. And the other intrigue there, too, obviously, is the Connor Hellebuck saga, where you have a guy who's considered to be the best goalie in the world put together a third straight playoff of not playing very well. And the idea that, Winnipeg should all of a sudden have to worry about the one thing they never have to worry about is kind of an intriguing aspect of it. I give the Jets credit. I mean, they're ahead in the series and can close this thing out despite their all-world goalie not playing like one. But it's been an intriguing series, and you have a sense that the Blues probably won't go out quietly.
Give me your thoughts on that Braden Shin hit. Was it dirty?
No, I don't think so. I mean, the Department of Player Safety didn't bring him up for anything today. There wasn't even a hearing for it. If there was anything to suspend him for, they'd do it in a millisecond because of the value that Scheifele has to the Jets. So, it wasn't pretty. And I thought the fact that their coach, Jim Montgomery of the Blues, was so adamant in trying to designate when he thinks Scheifele's injury happened just to protect his guy, to make sure he's not going to lose his top center for a critical elimination game. That was some interesting gamesmanship, but I didn't have a problem with the hit.
So coming up, you've got the games coming up tonight. You've got Toronto leading 3-2. You've got Vegas leading 3-2. You've got Dallas leading 3-2. And you've got Edmonton leading 3-2. Out of those 4 series, how many of them end tonight?
3 of the 4, I think. I can't imagine the Kings are going to be able to flip the script on the Oilers at this point. They've tried to give them their best shot. They've tried to play defense. They can't. It's like trying to hold back a dam when the water is on rushing. That's what it's like playing Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. The Kings just can't seem to do it, and I think they're going to lose for a 4th straight season tonight. The other series, I think I'm worried about the Leafs again. The Toronto Maple Leafs haven't won the Stanley Cup since 1967. Every time they have a chance to try to put those demons away and win a winnable series, they always seem to fall on their face, and they've done it again against Ottawa. I think this thing's going to go 7. Vegas, I think will probably close things out. against Minnesota. And, the Dallas-Colorado series is a real tough one to figure. I could see, Colorado winning and extending this thing to 7 games, but I've just been really, really impressed with the way that Dallas has played. They're shorthanded. They don't have their best defenseman, Miro Heiskanen, or their second-best scorer, Jason Robertson, and yet they've been able to gut out these games, and their stars really showed up in a huge way in Game 5. And I think despite being one of the most loaded teams in the league and having been one of the most active teams in the league at the trade deadline, I think Colorado's in a bit of trouble tonight.
Scotty and I get an opportunity to sit down 25, 30 minutes a week with Bill Armstrong, the general manager of the Utah Hockey Club, and I asked him, what's a more brutal series, the battle for Ontario or the battle for Florida? And, he was Canadian born, but I think he's American citizen now. Is that right, Scotty?
I believe so, yeah.
And he said that he believes it's Battle of Ontario. Do you think that one just edges out Battle of Florida?
I think it's a unique series in the sense that you have Ottawa really playing the role of underdog and really bringing it physically and scraping and clawing and doing whatever it takes to try to win. But I'll tell you, for my money, the best rivalry in hockey is the Battle of Florida. That thing is a powder keg, not only because you have such incredible talent on both sides. I mean, Florida with Matthew Tkachuk and Sasha Barkov, now Brad Marchand playing for them too. But there's palpable hate. And there really is bragging rights on the line. I mean, as much as there's bragging rights in Ontario, I don't think the Leafs really care about the Senators in the same way that the Panthers care about the Lightning. Like, the Lightning ruled that state for a decade, and maybe even beyond that. And the Panthers have only become relevant just recently. And so, John Cooper said it himself the other day. He used to go and play games in South Florida, and the Panthers arena would be mostly Lightning fans. And that certainly isn't the case anymore. And so that rivalry from a gameplay standpoint, from a brutality standpoint, and for a animosity standpoint, to me is the best rivalry in the NHL right now.
Greg, appreciate your time. Thanks for hanging out with us and keeping us a little educated on the landscape of the league, and look forward to catching up with you again here very soon.
Interesting times. Thanks for having me.
No doubt. Greg Wyshynski right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Again, does a tremendous job. NHL writer at ESPN. And host to several podcasts as well.
Oh, very interesting times.
Yeah.
Because if there's any truth to this John Cooper thing, I just think that lights Utah NHL on fire. I think it brings an attention to the state and to the Utah Hockey Club. John Cooper, going back to 2006, has been to more cups than any other coach. I'm just looking through. He's been to more cups than any other coach going back to 2006. 1, 2, lost 2, as I mentioned.
That's a heck of a legacy right there. That's a heck of a resume.
And he has not had the league's top scorer. Now, as you heard kind of the back and forth right there, no doubt Nikita Kucherov is one of the all-time greats, but didn't even play a regular season, just came back and played a postseason in one of those cup victories. So, and he's right. I mean, there's some great talent, but I do think that there's a lot to the coaching aspect of the NHL. And the reason I say that, when you're sitting there watching it, and these guys have 45 seconds on the ice. These lines that they put on the ice, they got 45 seconds. A max of like a minute and 10 seconds. When they hit the ice, they're expected to do exactly what they're supposed to do in that given 45 seconds, get off the ice, and those lineups have to know exactly what each other is capable of. When you're going with the penalty kill, or you're going with your power plays, or you're going in any of these specific moments in these hockey games and situations, I just think that coaching is critical. I think lineups are critical. I think the NBA, you just get a talent, and you can run with the talent.
Yeah.
I think the NHL, you get the toughest kids on the block, you get them in the right lineups, running the right matchups, and I think that you could see a St. Louis Blues team go and upset a much better Winnipeg Jets team. And I think that you got to look back and say, well, geez, I mean, they've got some good scores, but that's coaching.
Yeah.
So if there's any truth, validity to those rumors Scotty and I will not stop talking about it because it would be a massive coup.
Well, and it also shows, the power that Ryan Smith's, that he's bringing to the table here. It's like, look, we're not messing around. We want to do this. We want to do it right, and we want to win.
John Cooper is currently only 57 years old.
Young dude, comparatively speaking.
Yeah.
Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Coming up next, we'll spin the wheel. A little sports roulette straight ahead right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The wheel is loaded, and it's time to talk some sports. This is Sports Roulette with Hans and Scotty on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hey, look at that. 2:30 right on the dot, as we do every day at this time. Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
You guys are pros.
That's
best in the business. That's a fact right there.
You ask us to be professional, and we are. Right on time every day.
I hope Nate's listening right now.
Hi, Nate.
You can see that.
Well, you give him the other symbol.
We take the clock so serious. Always have. 11 years at the Hans and Scotty show. We are very timely, prompt.
Always. Lloyd says, do this, we do it.
Big thanks to Greg Wyshynski, though. That was a fun conversation. Love continuing to learn more and more about the NHL. And I love that there are differing opinions on the Battle of Florida and the Battle of Ontario. Because I think the Battle of Florida is bigger too, but I don't know as much as Bill Armstrong.
Yeah.
But Greg Wyshynski said it's the biggest series in all of the NHL. And a lot of that has to do with Florida won a cup. Tampa's won cups. Apparently, ice and hockey are the big things in Florida.
Who knew that Florida would be the hot button for hockey?
Meanwhile, Canada hasn't won one since, was it 89 or something?
Yeah, and Toronto hasn't won one since the 60s.
What do they know about hockey?
They don't even know how to play hockey.
Hans' second home is kicking Canada's butt when it comes to hockey.
Oh, we trash Canada.
Yeah.
Trash them. Talking about, you won't let me into your country.
Yeah.
Stop me at your border, you will.
Hans has got some, well, I was going to make another signal to the camera, but.
All I want is a little poutine and time in Toronto.
Just wanted a little cheese curds and gravy. Come on.
Hey, which, by the way, went to one of the Utah Hockey Club games.
Yeah.
I think, in fact, it was Toronto. It was when they played Toronto, and they were serving poutine.
No way.
So I did get my poutine. It was my first time with it. Big chunks of cheese curds, a really nice gravy.
Is that on the regular? Did they serve that on the regular at those games?
The games I went to, it wasn't there.
No, it
was just a one time because they were.
It was only
Toronto?
one time that I'd seen it.
Oh, okay.
And I ate my weight in it. It's really good.
Yeah,
it's just unique.
Were you on the poutine cam? Eating your poutine?
You just tip the whole carton back.
Yeah, just
let it fall into your face. The poutine cam.
Oh, man.
They do push that beer cam, though. They love that in those hockey arenas.
Oh, there's nothing apparently hockey fans love to do more than to rip open a tall boy and just knock it back.
It's $15 a beer. These people are just. And so I was watching one thing, and the beer cam just kept going. It was like 2 minutes. And it was going from upper decks to by the ice, and people are just pulling these beers back. And, people can really chug a beer. And then it went to this 6 or 7 year old kid that was holding a Barks root beer bottle.
Yeah.
And this kid puts it back and starts chugging this Barks root beer. And the volume went, like it was a tight game. The volume went higher. I'd never heard it so loud in that arena. And this kid is just choking and gagging and he's just 6 or 7.
Yeah. Got the competitive juices flowing. Nothing like promoting binge drinking in our youth.
Yeah. He got halfway through the Barks root beer and ended up kind of taking it partially off his lip and letting the rest go down his shirt. So I'm sure that sticky mess is worth 10 seconds for mom and dad on the big screen. It's kids. And you're just like, oh, here's a sucker. Somehow they turn a little sucker into 45 napkins and a 10-minute run to the bathroom.
There is nothing worse than sticky.
That's why
I hate sticky.
It's one of my least favorite. Look, I love the 4th of July. God bless America. But I hate like picnics with like little kids when they get like the watermelon seeds like stuck to their face. And
I don't think it's cute.
And no, I don't think it's cute at all. I think it's disgusting.
I don't think it's cute. Sorry.
And yeah, you go through like 20 wet wipes. Like, how did this watermelon seed get cemented to your face? And they're like, oh, it's hurting. Well, you'll eat watermelon better next time, won't you?
And I crap you not. If it was up to me, I would have let my 3-year-old just eat dirt and be sticky. But your wife is always like, oh, honey.
It's an indictment on our parenting if you have a dirty kid.
Yeah, it's just like, take his shirt off and let him get the sticky off with the dirt. And don't bug me. I'm 3 hot dogs deep. Don't bug me. I feel sick. I'm a little tired. I want to sit on my Adirondack. Don't bug me. If you need the kid washed, you go wash the kid.
You go wash the kid.
I need help.
And then so they tell you to wash, so you grab the hose and you put your thumb down and you start spraying him down, and then you get in more trouble.
It's like Chris Farley in Tommy Boy. And you're just like, are you eating paint chips, you little moron? Why can't you drink a soda the right way?
Nothing worse than the Kool-Aid.
4th of July is killing me.
Nothing worse than the Kool-Aid mouth when they look like the Joker with the big old smile and it's red because they can't drink Kool-Aid.
I don't think that's cute.
No, it's not cute.
You and your little stinking popsicles, it's not cute. Popsicle stick stuck in the hair. Can you help? I just need help. No, just let it be sticky. It's just going to get sticky again.
It's the only way they're going to learn.
All right, that's parenting.
You went ahead and said that out loud. That's great.
Parenting 101 from Hanson, Scotty, and Lloyd. And don't act like you don't agree, Lloyd.
No, I agree.
1,000% agree.
I agree. Didn't think you were going to say the little moron part out loud.
Oh, I did. Did I say that?
Yes. It's okay. Sometimes they are little morons.
Look what you did, you little jerk.
And we're talking about like 2, 3-year-olds. My 13-year-old he's going to be a freshman next year. He's about to turn 14.
Oh, my gosh. Don't say that out loud.
Here in a few weeks.
Freshman?
Yeah, I know, right? How about that? And he's going to conditioning for football, right? And he's like, hey, can I borrow somebody's water bottle? And so my wife's like, yeah, here, use this one. And he goes over and he puts ice in it. And then I go and I see he's got a 2-liter bottle of root beer. He's going to pour into. I'm like, you're not taking root beer to conditioning, you idiot.
No.
Yeah! That's my boy. Oh, root beer and chocolate milk.
It quenches the thirst.
Those two things, they'll bring you some protein and some energy.
I'm like, no, we're not doing that. He's like, well, it tastes really good when when you're sweating. And I'm like, this isn't a picnic.
I'm telling you, man. I think back to the first time I watched Raising Arizona, and when they brought all those little kids over, and the kid squirts the squirt gun on him and says, you wet yourself, Mr. McDonough, and turns to his mom, he wet himself. And I'm just like, oh, kids can't be that bad. Remember they wrote all over the walls with crayons? And I'm like, I've got kids, and the only thing I could think of, man, was Raising Arizona. They nailed it. Like, they nailed it. Little monsters running around. Acting absolute haywire, writing on walls 24/7. Little salty. I remember listening to you talk about when he stuck his poo diaper on the wall.
Took a diaper filled with you know what and slammed it up against the wall.
Oh, Lloyd, you've had some.
The Picasso.
You've had the poo finger paint on the wall that you did
at 3 in the morning. Yeah. It's fun.
Well, the double pukes.
The puke in the heater vent. That's great, too. Yeah, that's always good, because why wouldn't you?
Xavier hit the heater vent.
Yeah.
Oh, anyways, they're worth it, though, aren't they? They're worth it.
One thing
morons.
Aren't they?
Yeah. No,
yeah.
And it only gets better with age.
It is so true.
Yeah, they're the best. Man.
All right. Let's get to it. Lloyd, fire up that wheel.
The hell's going on at PNC Park?
So it's the 7th inning, Pirates and Cubs matchup, Scotty.
Yeah.
And the cameras pan out to the outfield off a hit. And as the cameras pan to the outfield, all you see is a body fall from 20 feet up. And you see it tumbling, and it's head over heels. It's not like it's like falling in the body leaps over the railing and starts cartwheeling in the air and then thuds the ground. And here is the play-by-play of the moment.
Somebody has fallen out of the stands.
We need to pause here. I think everybody is just now realizing what has happened. And I'm going to be intentionally quiet here. There are players kneeling and looking in the direction of right field. There's a crew of folks right now, medical personnel, attending to a person who was lying on the warning track at the foot of the Clemente wall, which, as we know, is 21 feet tall. And we know nothing more than that right now. The chief umpire is Alfonso Marquez, shaking his head. Andrew McCutcheon, very upset, emotional right now, as are we.
What are they clapping for? Because the guy never woke up.
I don't
I
think
thought
so.
they got him up to his feet. No.
No. He was carted out, and he is still listed in critical
Maybe
condition.
he gave a thumbs up at all.
No, he didn't move. He never moved. I don't know what they're clapping about.
Maybe they were just driving off.
Yeah, they might have got him on the board and got him out of there. But it was reported this morning. I don't know, Scott, if you've got something that's a little bit more recent, but he was listed in critical condition in a Pittsburgh hospital. I did see a report from a person that was sitting right behind him. They actually sent out a social media post and said that he was very intoxicated, and an inning before had peeled off his shirt. And because when you saw him fall, it looked like he was naked.
Yeah.
When he fell, but apparently he still had some type of corduroy jean on, but no shirt. But he, I guess, got himself pretty good and lathered up, and said that when the ball was hit, he stood up to celebrate it and celebrated too hard and went over the railing and is in critical condition. I get, going to a game and catching a little buzz is kind of the end-all be-all for a lot of sports fans. It is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you hope that you just catch a little bit of buzz. And I think that's why part of the reason that they make liquor so expensive at the games, because they're like, you get 3 of these and you're close to $100.
Yeah. And don't they cut you off in the 7th, 8th inning?
7th.
Yeah. Okay.
Except for with the new pitch clock. Remember, with the pitch clock, I think they now shut it off at the 6th.
Oh, okay.
And it was the 7th, but the pitch clock was shortening the final 2 innings, and they want to give you X amount of time. It's specific how they do it at baseball games.
Yeah.
Because they know everybody's going back to their car and going to drive off, so they try to shut you off so your body can absorb the alcohol a little bit. But there's people without control, man.
Wow.
And there's people that'll pregame.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. .244, Hans and Scotty.
What?
Lloyd, do you have a camera on you now?
No.
Yeah, it looks like there's a camera right there.
No, that's not a camera.
It is a camera, and you just refuse to turn it on.
No, Nate's still working on it. So that's a Nate problem.
If that camera...
Nate, that's not us. That's Lloyd.
If that camera would have been on, you would have seen Lloyd looking around innocently.
Yeah.
Well, that's because I am innocent.
Like the infamous Christmas party.
What?
Pre-gaming.
Oh.
What are you talking about?
You.
Me?
Yeah, you.
I don't even know what you're talking about. Don't
That's
just make
because
things up.
You don't remember the
Don't
Christmas
just make
party.
things up.
It's interesting.
I'm like one of the more well-behaved people on the staff. What are you talking about?
That's actually that's true now.
Yeah.
But back in the time when you don't remember getting alcohol as a Christmas gift and you don't remember Christmas parties, it's interesting how there's a period of your life you don't remember.
Yeah. You are in a much better place now.
The effects of alcohol. Okay.
Didn't BK call everybody out on our staff for pre-gaming too? At a
Yeah, I think so.
But never forget this, Scotty. He'll never be the one with a friend named Muffin.
Lloyd, you better spin that.
Please tell me there's no chance of this.
Oh, dang, I was going to take this off the wheel. But since it got read, let's talk about it. Henry Ruggs is only 26, and he's expected to get out of prison in just less than a year. And Josh Jacobs just said that it's full expectation for him to be back in the NFL when he gets out. That he's spent every waking minute in prison keeping himself in NFL shape and NFL ready. Henry Ruggs, the man that was going 140 plus miles per hour and hit a vehicle, killed a woman
and a dog.
And her dog.
Yeah.
And he received 3 to 10 years. And he'll serve 3 of it. Because they're talking about he's been on best behavior.
Oh,
and
I'm sure, yeah.
Upstanding this. 3 years. Just think if that was Xavier. Think if that was Brody. Or I'll think if it was Rock or Ash. And somebody spends 3 years. He was drunk off his butt going 140 miles an hour. And 3 years. And then imagine him being in the league.
Yeah.
And you being
Because
an NFL fan and like, oh, I want to watch the NFL. You'd be done.
It's just wrapped up. It was after his rookie season, right? So he's still mid-20s.
Mid-26.
Yeah.
He'll be 26.
Like, that's still technically the prime of your career.
Very much. Oh, it's a very positive. It's a very much a.
Who's going to be the team, Raiders, that actually.
Cleveland.
Yeah, that's true. More likely Cleveland than the Raiders these days. That would actually.
It can't be the Raiders because that's who he was with, right?
Yeah. So it could be the Raiders. Maybe they still have rights to him. Did they release him?
They did.
Oh, okay. They can't. Yeah. They can't.
No, I don't think that's happening.
Yeah. What you got to do is, I mean, if he's going to be back in the league, you got to send him to the driest area. He can't be back in Vegas.
He certainly can't go to. Ooh. Yeah, you can't send him to Cleveland then.
Can't go to Cleveland.
Is there a dry city in the NFL? Like that you look at? There's no like Salt Lake City of the NFL.
Arizona? No, that's not. Detroit? No,
certainly not Green Bay.
Not Detroit.
I don't think anybody should, but somebody is going to take a flyer.
Oh, they will. They will.
Guys, tell me that's not the case.
He paid his debt to society. He's a changed man.
About second chances, but not when you kill somebody.
No.
Look, you guys know how much I love dogs. Like dogs are my life. They're my world. I love them. I was able to look at Michael Vick and say, all right, it's time. And he killed, what was it, 15 or 20? Yeah. Electrocuted him, drowned him. And he served, I think, 4 years or something in prison. And it was like, you know what? He's got good intentions. And I do think he served his debt to society. And you could tell that he was a changed man. This man drank until he was nearly unconscious, did 140 miles per hour in a car and killed a human being.
Yeah.
We shouldn't even be talking about the potential of a return.
This dude should not be out of prison for 20 years. Bare minimum.
See, that's the other conversation we need to have is it's not just not should be in the NFL. He should not be free. He shouldn't be free.
Yeah, no. Nope.
And it's coming up quick. We're going to be talking about this within about 8 months, 9 months.
Makes me sick.
They're saying he will play the 2026 season.
Oh, jeez. Unbelievable.
That's wild.
Hans and Scotty, we'll wrap up this bad boy next. Get you ready for JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
As Utes, Cougars, and Aggies, yeah, we've got you covered. This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G on 97.5, the Sports Zone.
All right, wrapping up another edition of the show. Hans and Scotty, hope you all had a good one today. We're back with you on a Friday edition of the program tomorrow.
Scotty, real quick, we are 14 days away from the Dyslexia Center of Utah golf tournament.
Yes, sir.
We've got 4 foursomes left to come out and join us. That's it. And 100% of that money goes to funding the scholarships of these children that deal with dyslexia. And it gets them all of the treatment that the Dyslexia Center of Utah has to offer. So Scotty will be out there. Lloyd will be out there. I'll be out there. We're going to be having a blast out at Cedar Hills Golf Club. It's the 7th annual charity golf tournament. We're going to have lunch by Texas Roadhouse. We got breakfast will be Chick-fil-A. We got food and great raffle prizes and giveaways. So please, it's $500 for a foursome. And 100% of that goes to the scholarships for these kids. It's something Scotty and I have done now for 7 years. It's something we need help with. So please go to dyslexiacenterofutah.org and sign up. Or go to my Twitter page. I just tweeted out the link. We just need to get some signups and make sure that thing's packed in.
I will retweet that as well. Fired up to get out there. Should be a lot of fun. And it
means a lot to us.
There's frankly not a lot cooler scenes than that teeing off number 1 there at Cedar Hills.
Yeah, it is. 280-foot drop, something like that.
Yeah. All right, Hans and Scotty, JJ and Alex coming up next. Jim Olsen's going to join them right out of the gate right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.